Going everybody, welcome to Cinemaholic Productions. Today we are going to be talking about the new Netflix release, Imperial Dreams. I'm Ryan and I'm a cinemaholic.
I'm Spencer and I'm a cinemaholic.
So like I said, today is going to be specifically about Imperial Dreams, which is a Netflix feature film that came out at the beginning of February. This movie was originally released back in 2014 at the Sundance Film Festival, where it won the Best of Next Audience Award. And then it went on to go to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 film festivals and won a bunch of awards at each of those. This movie the synopsis is a 20-year-old reformed gangster's devotion to his family and his future is put to the test when he is released from prison and returns to his old stomping grounds in Watts, Los Angeles. This is starring John Boyega, which is why it was kind of a big deal when it originally came out, because he had just been cast in Star Wars, as well as this is directed by Malik Vital, I think is how you pronounce his name, which is his directorial debut. So to start us off, Spencer, kind of what were your thoughts on Imperial Dreams?
So I remember one of the first, if not the first movie you and I ever watched together was Boys in the Hood. And
Mm-hmm.
I actually thought quite a bit about Boys in the Hood when I watched Imperial Dreams. It's kind of like Boys in the Hood meets Fruitvale Station.
Yeah.
And honestly, I loved Imperial Dreams. I was totally blown away. I kind of put off watching this for some reason. Ryan had we were originally supposed to shoot the review yesterday. I've just been so busy. And it's only like an hour and 30 minutes. So really, it doesn't take up that much time. And it's on Netflix. So really, I think everybody should go watch this movie like right after you finish watching this review, just because I really thought this movie was something special. First of all, it's set in an environment where a character, he's part of this system and this environment that's destined to make him fail, despite his good intentions and his like perseverance to try to be a better person, to be a better father, to be a better citizen. And it really is just it's almost tough to watch in certain parts, to watch this guy like go through some of the things that he goes through. But John Boyega, my goodness, he is a great actor. Like after this one, I mean, he's in Attack the Block, which is a movie I had a lot of fun with, and I remember thinking like, wow, that guy, he's a pretty good actor. And then after that, he was in Episode 7, obviously, and now with this movie, Imperial Dreams, I really feel like this guy's gonna be a huge star someday. And I think one of my favorite things about this movie, and the last thing I'll mention before we get into your thoughts on it, are the world this movie builds, like with kind of I think it takes place in Watts, right? Watts, Los Angeles County, and the world that it builds within that is just fully realized. That you like, for example, in the background sometimes you'll see like police cars pulling other cars over, and it never shows us what's going on there, but we see it in the background. It's like we understand that this environment is somewhat unwelcoming, especially to a kid, and that's one of there's some intense scenes with him and his kid. And I was thrilled by this movie. I was moved by it. I thought that it was excellent. What do you think about it?
I would agree with you. I'm glad that you brought up Fruitvale Station, because throughout the movie, I kept having that feel. Um, John Boyega, he's such a phenomenal actor. And as I was thinking, there's several similarities. I don't know if I'd necessarily rank his performance in this with that of David Oyelowo, but I kept having similar feelings when David did Martin Luther King and Selma. And there's such a transformation there, and maybe it's just the connection of they're both British and they have really thick accents, and they're both able to like totally nail the American and the gangster accents. So just props to both of them. But I mean, this is a feat. The whole movie is a feat. So good job to everyone who helped make it come together, because it really is a small contained movie that ends up having a grand scale. I mean, it's about an intimate relationship, but it does feel like so much more than that. I did appreciate that it was only 90 minutes. I think that really, really helped. They didn't waste time on anything because it does kind of have a slower pace. And so I think 90 minutes was really the sweet spot for it. And I think that's kind of it. There was one scene that I did like that really impacted me, and it was kind of going off what you said of he's kind of destined to fail in this situation. And I think it hit me so much because I've known people who have personally been screwed into situations like this, but he's going to the DMV to get his license, and they won't give him his license because he owes child support, like $12,000 in child support or something. And he's like, how am I going to pay the child support until I get a license and then get a job? Because no one will give me a job unless I have a license.
Right.
And his wife didn't even ask for child support. The government just took the initiative, bless their souls, and gave him the child support. And so it's this huge process that it really does set people up to fail. We do not live in a facilitative environment when it comes to this kind of stuff, which has its pros and its cons, I'll admit, and I don't want to get into that, but it really does highlight a flaw in the system when he really is trying to do good and change and help others change. And so I think this is definitely a movie that everyone should watch, if not to just take yourself down from the privileged life that we sit on.
Right. And just kind of like put yourself into this experience and understand that there are people out there who are going through this probably right now as we speak, like good-hearted people who are just born into an environment that's very unwelcoming. I'm going to score this pretty high. I'm going to give this a 9.25 out of 10. I really, really like this movie a lot. I think that, and as well, it's a movie that I feel like most people who like, you know, think Boys in the Hood might be a little bit too mature for them. This one wasn't really all that bad, I didn't think, as far as like content goes. There wasn't tons of drug use or like sex in it or anything. But I would totally highly recommend this movie. It's up there with like some of the better ones we saw at like Sundance. So I guess of this year, maybe. Right.
No, yeah, I would agree with you on that. I'm going to give it an 8.75. Definitely recommend it. It's one that it's like some of the ones we saw at Sundance this year. It's not necessarily one that's enjoyable to watch, but it's one that should be watched. And not to say that it's a bad viewing experience, because it is. It's a great movie and a very bold ending. I'll say that. The ending really stuck with me, and I think this is one that should probably even be shown in schools. You know, I think in government classes and such, this should be something that people are required to watch.
Definitely. Well, thank you guys all for watching. Make sure to check out our meeting, our actual weekly meeting that we're going to be releasing pretty soon here. I think tomorrow it should be out. But yeah, guys, check out Imperial Dreams. You can follow me on Twitter at SpinnyHind. Ryan, where can they find you?
You can follow me at Rye_Gordon.
All right, guys. Well, until next time, bye.